Welcome to CBS Sports' inaugural presentation of GEICO Motorcycle AMA Pro Road Racing. Today featuring our coverage of both the National Guard Superbikes as well as the riders intent upon unseating those current heroes, but who must first master the ferocious competition known as the GoPro Daytona Sport Bike. If you like your racing close with no holds barred, you're in for a great afternoon. Hi everybody, I'm Jonathan Green, bringing you the 34th edition of Superbike competition from a track that really is one of the grand old ladies of American racing, Road America. And I'm right here at the end of the Andretti Straight, where the Superbikes will be coming into Turn 5 at over 190 miles an hour. And there's a real buzz of anticipation and a real air of excitement here at Road America this weekend, because here this year we have a returning champion who's etched his name into the record books here before, but has had a disastrous start to his 2013 season. For more on that, here's our resident expert and AMA and World Superbike champion, Scott Russell.
This is the #1 plate. It's been earned 3 years in a row by Josh Hayes. Josh, we had some problems at Daytona. Now, obviously, you got a big deficit to recoup some points. What are your thoughts going into this race, and how are you going to approach the rest of the season?
You know, Daytona was a huge disappointment, having, two mechanicals during the race. It started off strong. I was really fast in practice, really fast in qualifying, even got out and led both races to have two mechanicals knock us down. It was really tough on me. It was hard on my crew. But we got things together, I think, over this little off season that we've had here, going to the tests at New Orleans and things like that. I've been working on my physical fitness, and I feel pretty good about showing up and putting on a strong showing again. Road America is one of my favorite racetracks, and fortunately, what I have in my pocket is I want to race at every single racetrack that we raced at last year, which I think bodes well for me. It shows to these guys that I don't really have too many weak racetracks, and I'm looking good for putting on a good season, and I still have a chance at being in this championship towards the end.
Jonathan, missing those 2 races is a huge deal for Josh, so it's going to be fun to watch him this year, try to fight back and gain some of those points back.
Scott, let's take a look at how those points are made up and why Daytona was such a disaster for our current champion, Josh Hayes. In terms of scoring, you can get 1 point for pole position, 1 point for most laps led. For a win, it's 30 points, second place is 25, and third, 21. And that means after Daytona, Josh Herrin leads by just 1 point with 56. Martin Cardenas has 55 points. Larry Pegram has 42 points in third place. But the big story is Josh Hayes way down in 18th position on just 8 points. And that means that even if Josh Hayes wins all the races to come for the rest of the season, he may still not win the title. Now let's go to a man who had a much more spectacular Daytona. He's with Danielle.
This was the scene in 2012 when Martin Cardenas captured his second AMA GoPro Daytona Sport Bike Championship. This was the scene when Cardenas captured his first Daytona Superbike checker. The number 36 of Martin Cardenas. Martin, nobody would have expected the events that happened in Daytona, but you capitalized them, getting a win in the first round of the 2013 season. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel great to start the championship in that way. I know that the main guy, this Josh, had a little bit of problems, and we could capitalize on that. But we'll try to keep the good form here and try to be in contention for the championship.
Now, you had 2 race wins here last year, but in a different class, a different team, and on a different bike. What are the feelings going into this weekend?
The first impression, this practice was bike is extremely fast. Everything happens a lot quicker, so I have to adjust a little bit on that and maybe work on the setup. But feels good. First session in, and we'll wait for qualifying and see what happens.
Martin Cardenas, number 36, feels good. Back to you, Jonathan.
Well, Larry Pegram didn't have just the challenge of Daytona. He had some personal issues also going on in a very important weekend for you. First of all, how is your father?
My dad's doing good, had the skin cancer, but we found it early, got everything kind of cut off, and he's doing great now. Everything's great, so everybody's really, upbeat mood now.
Coming into this weekend, third in the championship and a brand new bike for this season, the Yamaha. Not ridden it before, but you've ridden so many other marks. How do you like this bike?
It's just, it's one of those motorcycles that does everything you ask it to do. You can't ask for anything more out of it. It's done everything perfect for me. I'm over the moon with the way Yamaha's treated us. You know, as far as our finishes, being third at Daytona, we got a little bit lucky there with Josh being out, but this is a good place for us here. So I'm looking forward to this weekend here because we've had a lot of magic at this place in the past.
Exactly right, and obviously this is a great way, third in the championship at the moment, the bike you want, and I believe it's the same spec as Josh's. So what are your aspirations now for 213?
I mean, my aspirations are to go out and win races. I mean, there's no doubt about the bike can win, so it's my time to go out there and do that. I'm here this weekend to win races.
Thanks, Larry. Now, let's get back to that Josh Hayes story. There are so many other competitors that have also had three-time consecutive champions. Reg Pridmore back in 76 to 78. Freddie Merkel, of course, in 84 to 86. Doug Chandler. Matt Mladen did it twice, 99 to 01 and 03 to 05. Ben Spies, and of course, Josh Hayes. So it's clear that Josh Hayes has his work cut out, as we've heard already, to secure that fourth consecutive championship. He already shares in the company of some very impressive riders, including the all-time record setter, Matt Mladen, who accomplished 3 in a row, twice on his way to 7 championships. But anyone who knows Josh Hayes knows he'll never simply rest upon his laurels. And of course, he well understands that there are many waiting and able to make his 2013 journey a truly bumpy road. Back to Road America in just a moment. Our CBS coverage today, as it will throughout the season, also follows the GoPro Daytona Sport Bike Series, which not only showcases the bright up-and-coming talent of the future, but also lays claim to the most prestigious motorcycle race in the world.
That number 6 YES Graves Yamaha dropping low, down to the double yellow stripe, onto the throttle, straightening it up. He sees the checkers in Rapp's toe. Coming around, Rapp lets him go, and there you have it. Beaubier has won it.
Yeah! That win by Californian Cameron Beaubier on the hallowed high banks of Daytona gave notice that the young man from Roseville could prove to be a thorn in the side of many a competitor through 2013. Yet even after achieving that about which most can only dream, it's clear that the lad on the number 6 Yamaha sport bike has his sights set on distant horizons.
The number 6 of Cameron Beaubier absolutely dominated round 1 at Daytona. We're here at Road America for round 2. Totally different track. How do you plan to channel what you did at Daytona here at Road America this weekend?
Yeah, I just really want to keep the ball rolling. We had an awesome performance at Daytona. My bike was amazing. My team did their homework over the off season, and I just really want to keep the ball rolling.
So what is it about this team that allows you to do what you do out there?
I mean, they give me an awesome bike. They're always putting in the hours at the shop and trying to find any little thing they can, horsepower, anything with the geometry of the bike, just everything. And I mean, when we come to the track, they're ready to go. And I'm really excited getting back to some road courses. And Daytona's like truthfully, in the past, I didn't really like Daytona too much because it's all about like draft and stuff. And we were able to pull a little gap and ride on our own through the whole 200. So hoping, like I said, hoping to continue that throughout the season.
There you have it, Cameron Beaubier, ready to do things here at Road America.
The other riders who scored podium finishes at the oldest American road racing event were Garrett Gerloff and Bobby Fong, each riding a Yamaha. That makes 9 times that Yamaha has swept the podium since 1972, with riders such as note of Kenny Roberts, Don Emdy, and Dale Singleton. All that translates into a sweep percentage of over 20% during the past 4 decades. So what's the difference between the sport bike and the superbike? Well, as you can see, they're both quick and they're certainly hard to handle. Scott Russell, you've ridden both styles of bike. Care to clarify?
Well, Jonathan, at first glance, it's kind of hard to tell the differences between a superbike and a Daytona sport bike. Let's take a look at the DOT tire on the Daytona sport bike. This is the kind of tire you'll see bikes running around on the street. Now, they're racetrack built. They work very well out here. This bike runs also a 600cc engine that's pumping out about 125 horsepower. Now, this bike's running an electronic package. There's a cap on it at $7,500 for this class. Now, let's move over here to the superbike. It runs on a purpose-built, slick racing tire built by Dunlop here. It's a spec tire series, so there's not a lot of choices for the riders in that department. A couple of different compounds. This motorcycle runs a 1,000cc engine pumping out 180 to 220 horsepower depending on which brand. The electronics package on this, you're allowed to spend $18,000. Now that controls pretty much everything on this motorcycle in the world we live in today. Now my experiences in the past from running a super sport bike or Daytona sport bike, let's call it, on DOT tires, it's much easier to find the limit. But when you climb on one of these super bikes, man, you better be ready because they about 7 seconds difference in lap time.
Thanks, Scott. Great comparison, but either one of those bikes scares the bejeebers out of a mere mortal like me. Let's take a look now at the points for sports bikes, and at the moment, Cameron Beaubier leads with 32. That's 7 points ahead of Garrett Gerloff with 25, and Bobby Fong in third place on that Yamaha with 21 points. Now, if you want to know something special about Road America, a little bit of magic, if you will, it's this. Bratwurst. They sell thousands of these over the weekend, and people come from miles around just to taste one. In fact, you haven't had the full Road America experience until you've tried one. Now, there's going to be little idiosyncrasies and stories like this at every track we go to. Now, that leads nicely to this week's GEICO Go Round.
One of the most noted names in motorsports, Triumph, as you can see here, is back with a vengeance here at Road America. And one of the riders they've got here is Elena Myers. Elena, I got to ask you, after coming off the years on the Suzuki, what are the differences of this Triumph motorcycle and how are you coming to grips with that?
Oh, the Triumph has just been a phenomenal bike, and I've really adapted to it well, I think. We raced the 2012 at Daytona, and we're on the 2013 this weekend for Road America, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to stack up against everybody else. But I love it, and it's just been a great bike for me as well as my teammates.
I have to ask you, what's it like being one of the only women in the field out here?
Oh, to me, I'm just another rider out there. So, you know, I know a lot of people have created sort of rivalries between me and other girls, but I don't really think that it's really there. It's just we're all racers on the track trying to do the same job.
In the pits of the number 75 of Huntley Nash, you'll see two bikes being prepared, a super bike and a Daytona sport bike. Huntley, double duty this weekend. Any added pressure knowing you've only thrown a leg over your super bike 3 times?
For sure, it's a little bit of added pressure. I've only ridden the super bike 3 times. I'll be racing it this weekend. Been given a great opportunity with the Naira Racing ZX10, and I couldn't be happier. For sure, I have to stay hydrated and for the sport bike and the super bike because all the sessions are back-to-back, and both the races are too, so it'll be a challenge, but I think we're up for it.
Huntley feeling very good about running 2 classes this weekend.
Here we are at the GEICO home over here with the Daytona Sport Bike number 5, Dane Westby. Dane, you had some issues in Daytona. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I just went into a corner there on the back straight chicane where 44 other riders crashed, and it bit me too. And the thing was that I held on to the handlebar there, and the bike flipped up and hit me in the guts. So it hurt my spleen, and you know, I didn't really know what that was. I was trying to fight my way out of the hospital, tooth and nail, and the thing was I can leave whenever I want, but they won't medically clear me. So there I was, couldn't ride Daytona, had to have somebody else ride my bike. Now I'm here. It's my 10th year of riding, my first year I've ever been hired, and so my first race I got messed up, and so now this is really important to me. It's one of my favorite tracks, and we're here to do the business.
These are the leathers, and this is the family of number 28, Ryan Kerr. Ryan, we're used to seeing you in the Super Sport class, which is the feeder series to Daytona Sport Bike and Superbike, but you've elected to make the jump straight to Superbike. What prompted such a bold move?
I wanted to ride with the best there is. I know I can learn a lot from these guys, and like I said, I'm going to give it my all, but my main thing is just learning and keeping it up on 2 wheels this weekend. I've kind of outgrown the 600 class, and I wanted to be as big as we can get, so that's what we're here doing.
It's no secret that Ryan Kerr is a big guy with a lot of bike control. I think he'll do just fine in Superbike.
The EBR Racing number 99 of Jeff May, and over here we have the number 20 EBR of Herrin Yates. Herrin, 3 years ago, you had a near-ending career injury. Now you're back. How are things looking?
Looking a lot better now. You know, really happy to be here racing the AMA Pro Superbike Series on the EBR, 1190 V-twin bike. You know, this bike, it's a bit different than most out there, and it's a lot of fun to ride. And my teammates been going really good so far this morning, and hopefully we can get the bike getting around on the track a little bit faster for myself and be up there in the mix. But so far things are going pretty well.
These pretty good. Anyway, as you can see, stories everywhere we go, and it's going to be that way all season long. Now, take a look at these great up-and-coming GEICO Motorcycle AMA Pro Road Racing events to create a terrific race weekend trip for you. Our next stop is at Barber Motorsports Park outside of Birmingham, Alabama on June 21st to the 23rd, and we'd love to see you there. Now, coming up, the story of a man who refuses to be number 2 anymore. Now leading the championship, Josh Herrin. Well, welcome back to Road America, where, as you can see, we are moments away from our first race coverage here on CBS. But let me ask you a question. How tough, how demanding can this circuit be? Well, let's ask Steve Rapp, who looked back at 2000 and what happened to him here at Road America. Going down the main straight on the number 82, he clashes with John Kaczynski on the number 46. His front brake tipping him over the handlebars and nastily landing in the middle of the track. Luckily, everybody avoiding him. Amazingly, he walked back to the pits after this incident, hopefully to look for another bike. And then last year, the dark waters of Elkhart Lake once again called his number out. This time, Rapp up the hill, followed by Larry Pegram. The chain comes off, and amazingly, Pegram avoids it, and so too, Rapp keeps out of the way, but he's out of the race once again. Clearly, everybody in this championship is dedicated to the cause, and of course, coming back year on year. No more so than current championship leader Josh Herrin.
AMA Superbike champion has been running through my mind since I was probably 10 years old or so, and it's always been a goal of mine.
Herrin, Cardenas coming up, and it is going to be Herrin.
I got my first win, but it wasn't handed to me, but it was a little bit easier than it should have been. I need to prove that I can, run the pace by myself. I need to prove that I can win races with everybody finishing. I need to prove that my fitness is there. Prove that I'm ready to make the next step, which is, compete for the championship, and I think I'm ready.
And look at this. Josh Herrin is challenging Josh Hayes for the lead and makes the pass stick.
Having Josh, being my teammate and also, one of my biggest competitors it makes it pretty difficult, but at the same time it helps out a little bit because I know that I'm on the same machinery. I don't have any excuses. But you also have to remember that Cardenas is right there, and a lot of people always forget about him and likes to, get the race wins at the end, kind of like I do. So now I don't get to just sit there and follow Josh around the whole time and expect that it'll work. I got to also think about the fact that Cardenas is there and maybe doing the same thing. Win the championship this year would mean the world to me. It'd be a dream come true, and it would get that monkey off my back. I've been trying to get an AMA championship since 2007, and it's never come. It's always been really close, and to do it in the Superbike class for the first time would be awesome, especially with being able to say that I was one of the riders that was young to do it, like Nicky Hayden and those guys. It would mean a lot to me, and it'd also be good for the sport too to see somebody else win. I think that's one of the biggest things is, I'm tired of seeing Josh win. It's good that he's winning, he's my teammate and he's my friend, but I want to win and finally see number 1 plate on my bike. So.
Well, Josh Herrin's leading the championship, but the competition is not just going to come from his fellow riders. There's also another factor, and that's the weather here in Wisconsin, because it's both unpredictable and variable. Talking predictions, let's go to our very own Danielle Teal and Scott Russell for who they think will go well here at Road America.
Jonathan, that's the man right there I predict's going to win the Superbike race.
Hey, let me give you a hand here. I'm the guy who's going to win the AMA Superbike race today. Cameron Beaubier, that's my pick for Daytona Sport Bike.
Danielle, who do you got?
Scott, how much help do you need down there? I'm going to have to go with Daytona Sport Bike rider number 32, Jake Gagne, for my pick. And in Superbike class, I'm going to have to go with the number 72 of Larry Pegram. I got the whole Pegram family here. Mom, Heather, Riley, Sophie, and Larry Pegram himself. Girls, what do you think? Daddy's got the win?
Yeah, Daddy's got the win.
That's right. My pick for Superbike, number 72, Larry Pegram. Jonathan?
No question, it's a family affair here on AMA Pro. So that sets us up for the first of 2 races for this season's CBS Sports spectacular coverage of some of the finest athletes on planet Earth. The riders of GEICO AMA Pro Road Racing. Coming up, the young lions of the asphalt, lean, mean, and plenty hungry.